Hi class, Dr. Ramos here. Kin 303, we are into week 1 now, and this is your weekly recap. So we're going to go over a few things that are going to be due this week and that you're going to be responsible for. Here's the weekly agenda that you're going to see in Blackboard. It's going to tell you what to read, view, and what to complete. So for this week, we have chapters 1 and 2 in your textbook, specifically pages 1 through 28 in chapter 1 and then 31 through 67 in chapter 2. You're going to see that there is links to these PowerPoints that you're able to view, but these are the standard PowerPoints that come with the textbook, so there's not going to be a lot of explanation or anything like that, but it is going to give you a lot of the basic information you need to complete quizzes or to give you information in writing things. However, you're also going to see a recorded lecture by me where I go over some of the material, not all of those PowerPoints, but some of the material, the stuff that I want to highlight, that I feel are going to be more pertinent and that are going to add more or going to enrich the material that you're already reading. And as you can see in week 1, we have a syllabus overview that you should watch. The next item that is due for you is quiz 1. So quizzes you're going to have them every week, and they're typically going to be 10 multiple choice questions or true or false, and each one is worth 3 points, so each quiz is about 30 points. Reflection 1 is on learning styles. So for this reflection, there's a few things that you're going to have to view and that you're going to have to do before you actually start writing. So one is the learning styles link here, where it's going to take you to a website where you're going to answer some questions. It's going to give you what type of learner you are, and then also personality traits. Here you're going to take a personality trait test, and it's going to also give you essentially a recap of what type of personality you have and leadership attributes you have. So once you've done both of those, then you can begin on your reflection. And essentially what is due for that reflection is kind of a recap of what you found in both of these tests. And also there's some questions here that you have to answer. So like, have you taken the test before? Have your results changed since the first time you've taken it? And then also, like it says, do you feel previous academic experience has enhanced or deterred your ability to learn? And what would you change? So, with all reflections, your initial post, that's the first thing that's due, is due by Thursday with a minimum of 250 words. If it's turned in after Thursday, then it will start, it will go under the late policy. So we'll start deducting 10% for each day that it's late, up to 30%. After that, it will not be accepted. And then the second portion to the reflection is your 2 responses to your classmates. So as you can see down here, responses have to be a minimum of 100 words, and you have to add substance, continue the discussion, make sure that you're prompting questions, just to get everyone more engaged and contributing to the discussion. So again, initial post due by Thursday. The 2 responses to your classmates are due on Sunday. And finally, you have your Cap 1. So as I mentioned in the syllabus review, the Cap 1s, or I'm sorry, all the caps are meant to kind of scaffold and lead you into the critical assignment, so that by the time you get there, most of the work is already done, because each one of these caps kind of builds upon the previous one. So for this first one, it's essentially choosing what career you want to do once you graduate, and why you chose that. So you're gonna, when I've taught this class before, I have people that, you're in one of 2 boats. One is like, you know exactly what you want to do, and you already have everything in place to do that. You know where you're going to go to grad school, you know where you want to apply for different jobs, what part of the country you want to work in. And then I have other people that are in between 2 or 3 different careers that they want to choose. and they're not really certain. So in both cases, I feel like this project is really good for you because it's either going to reinforce what you already know, and it's going to just kind of set you up. It's going to give you a lot more resources to be ready to make that transition, or it's going to help you decide, or at least rule out one profession, because you will have to research at least one profession pretty in depth. So for this first cap, you're going to have to give a let's see, requires to research, choose, and identify a career, and then provide a rationale. And you're going to have to give a superficial reason. So, kind of like, I don't know, you could say that it caught your attention early on, or you kind of know people that work in the field. And then there's also a deep meaning of why you want to become that type of professional, and that could be something. Usually I have students note a specific experience that exposed them to that profession. For example, athletic training students, they always note that, maybe in high school they had a major injury and it was their first encounter with an athletic trainer. They had a high school athletic trainer that did a tremendous job in doing the rehab, and that it just influenced them and touched their lives so much that that's what they wanted to become. So that's more of a deep meaning for your profession. Last thing I'll say about the CAP is that the assignment should be approximately 2 pages, and it should be in APA formatting. So APA formatting is, as you kind of progress in your education, you're going to note that it's a critical portion of writing. You're going to have to get really familiar with all the criteria to meet APA formatting, and that includes 1-inch margins, double spacing, typing in the correct font, which is Times New Roman 12 point, and also when you're doing in-text citations and a references page, all of that you have to get pretty familiar with. So right now is a good time to start that. Early on, like this first week, I'm not going to be too hard on the grading for that, because I know some of you maybe you haven't written in a while, and it's going to take you some time to get familiar with all the criteria. But starting week 2, I am going to start taking significant points for that. So make sure that this first week, or even in week 0, you start getting familiar with all of the criteria. And speaking of week 0, that's where you're going to find all of the resources that you need to develop a professional and APA formatted paper. There's several videos. Dr. Harvison has posted a video on how to find research, and then that'll kind of lead into how you actually cite, and then how you actually create a references page. So I highly recommend that you watch those videos, that you look into week 0 for all those resources. I can provide some help with that, but my main concern, or my main directive in our relationship, is to give you feedback on content, on helping you improve your work. As far as grammar, context, APA formatting, that's going to be more on you. I will post certain things where if I see a certain trend of people making the same mistake, I'll post something where I address like some sort of APA formatting that everyone's getting incorrect. So, but for the most part, that's going to be on you. So that's all I have for you this week. Look out for the lecture that will be coming up, and if you have any questions, definitely reach out to me. I will post I'm going to give you guys some resources on how to communicate with me. Obviously, email is going to be the first thing that you'll want to do, but once we get to that, if we need to kind of meet virtually, we're going to do that through WebEx, so we can set up virtual meetings through that. So just look out for that information. All right, guys, have a great week, and I will see you next week.